Oh my god, it's a 4-2-5 defense. All you gotta do is blitz more. All they gotta do is fire Eric Glenn, and then they can start winning again. They're so stupid.
Good morning, everybody. All right. That's right. We got Henry. Good morning, James. Good morning, Taylor. Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Scotty Reno. Good morning, Brian. Oh, there we go. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome one and welcome all. Mike, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. You're doing stuff in the background right there, and I have no idea what you're doing in the background. All right. Well, welcome one, welcome all to Football Talk with Russell Wayne. I am your host. We are broadcasting live into a couple different places like Detroit Lions News, and we are broadcasting live into Mike the Bear Fan today, and we are broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions Villain Squad, where we just crossed 19,000, and we are barreling towards 20,000 villains on our page. So thank you everybody who supports us and all that stuff. I don't know if we got a Mike sighting in here, but this is my compadre, Main Event Mike.
Shut off to my left.
No, is it not working? All right. Anyway, so today we had some firings. That's what we were going to talk about today. Is there are some firings in the NFL today. It's Feel Good. It's Feel Good Thursday. And we're going to talk about you're fired. Right. Pete Carroll is out. Lou Getzey. I know this is where are we at here? Let's start there. Let's start here. All of my friend Bear fans, you got Bear Down Mike in here. He was waiting for this day. It is celebration time. It is celebration time. Can you guys hear me? Can anybody hear me? If you guys can hear me, let me know in the comments right here. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys? Yes. Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure that wasn't the message that Main Event Mike was giving me, was that they couldn't hear me. So I'm going to start right here with Lou Getzey. Right here. You guys are feeling pretty good about that bear down mic, aren't you? I mean, you guys are feeling like, man, it was just Lou Getzey he was holding back Justin Fields. That you could have got that offense. Well, you got your wish. He gets whacked. He gets whacked. And, hey, I went over and took care of a couple of these things for you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah, Lou, you're going to have to pack up your shit and get the hell out. Okay? Okay? Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me know that I can be heard. I don't know. Maybe that's a better thing if you can't hear me. I feel that. Hey, good morning from Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love the new do. I'm not going to lie. I love the new do. But getting back to Lou Getzey, how are you feeling about that? Do you feel like, who are you looking for? He just isn't that good. That's what Eric says. Eric says he just isn't that good. I mean, do you think that you can bring somebody else in, you know? Once Eberflus took over that defense, it was looking pretty good for you guys. It looked like he started getting more out of him. Yeah, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. So this is him being fired is a good thing, it seems like, to the Bear fans. You know, he hasn't really been that good. I mean, if you're looking at the offensive production now, a lot of people might put that to Justin Fields. Jeremy says, I got my wish. They kept Coach Everlose. I don't know, man. If they can fix that offense, that defense was pretty good. That was pretty good. And, you know, if they can find somebody to work with Justin Fields, who knows what they're going to pull this offseason. All I know is the Bears, they got a Madden-esque kind of pull when it comes to their draft picks and all the money that they got. So, I mean, if you're looking at that, you're looking at that as that was, I mean, you got a plethora of draft picks. You're picking at 1, you're picking at 9. I mean, you can put some talent around Justin Fields by doing that. So, this is Football Talk with Russell Wayne. I'm here every single day, at least during the week, for sure. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. And we're doing this thing right here. We're talking about the coach firings today. And I know I wanted to do mostly head coaches, but I know that this is a big thing. This is a big thing for the Bears, and I wanted to cover that first because it's mostly NFC North people that are watching this show. Mike Vrabel is a shoo-in for the Patriots coaching job? Is he? Is he? So Mike Vrabel is out. Mike Vrabel is out in Tennessee. And Bill Belichick, he's out. Bill Belichick is out in New England. Now, Bill Belichick, I mean, his resume is there. I mean, can you really call him the greatest coach of all time? I mean, now that you had the greatest quarterback of all time playing for you to help you get six championships, and then he leaves, and then your team turns to dog water, and then you retire. So can you really call him the greatest coach of all time? Or is it just now it's a slam dunk, 360 slam dunk that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time? I think it's the second thing. And I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm saying that about Tom Brady. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. You made it to the Super Bowl, Bledsoe, the year before. You bring in Belichick. He gets injured. Bledsoe gets injured. In comes Tom Brady, and there it is. He put some good defenses around. But it was Tom Brady being selfless the whole time. So I don't think that he's the greatest coach of all time. I think that one of the other coach firings, and this isn't even really a coach firing, but Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, his resume speaks for itself. This guy wins national championships in college. And then he comes to the NFL, wins a world championship with Russell Wilson. And then he's able to trade Russell Wilson for first-round draft picks and then still take his team to the playoffs with Geno Smith. I think Pete Carroll could argue that he's greatest coach of all time, maybe even more than Belichick. Yeah, I said it. Pete Carroll is a better coach than Bill Belichick. I mean, I did go head up. I mean, I could be putting my foot in my mouth right there because he did win head up, but that was with Tom Brady. You won with Tom Brady. Tom Brady makes everybody around him better. He elevates everybody around him. And then he played the selfless card when it came to his contracts. When he was already rich, he wasn't trying to break records like everybody likes to do nowadays. Break the record. I need to be the best, highest paid ever. And I don't even really think that's the players talking. I think that's just the agents doing their job. So I don't even hate you. Go get your money. I feel you. But when it comes to the team, who's the greatest coaches of all time? So Vrabel's out. I think he's a shoo-in. I think that he is a shoo-in for the job in New England. And hey, look, we got Jeremy B. Maybe Jeremy B's going to come in. Maybe he's got some audio. You got some audio there, my brother?
I've got audio. I'm just trying to get it, so I got my headphones plugged in. Just give me uno momento.
It's like I don't mind talking to myself. Yeah, but I mean, it always is better to have a conversation. And yes. I know that we usually, you and I are Lion fans right here, but this is like the head coaching, the firing carousel right there. I know that you like wrestling too, so there you go. There's a Vince McMahon right in the middle. You're fired.
Yeah, but right Pete Carroll is actually being kept on as in an advisor role for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, he's older. I mean, that may have been, that's like a mutual thing, right?
Right.
I would think.
He decided to retire. He didn't actually get fired. So Vrabel was fired, but if you look at it over his 4 years, he was 44 and 45. So he does have a losing record over 4 years.
Who's that?
Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel. Yeah. But the thing is like you want full support of your franchise. And I mean, let's be honest right here. I have never been a big proponent of paying running backs giant amounts of money. I think that it cap straps your team and you need that money to have depth at other places. And I don't know, when you got a giant King Henry contract that's been on your books the entire time you've been a coach, I think that sucks for roster building. But we do have main event Mike here. I'm going to bring him in, and I don't know if that's going to work here. Mike?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Say hello to my left.
Oh, thank God. Now, to this point, I'm sick of hearing. It is a trio, but I'm going to let you guys go for a little bit because I'm sick of hearing myself talk.
Man, I had to send myself the link and go in through my phone. Crazy how quickly I was replaced. Like within 5 minutes, he gets a new co-host. Man, I better be nicer to that guy.
Stop it. Yeah. You said it. But anyway, I wanted to say kudos to you, Mike, because you're usually not that tech savvy and you figured it out. He sends the link to himself, folks. That's right.
The champ is here.
Oh,
Good
You're
shit.
you're proud of me, aren't you, Russ?
I am, dude. You problem solved all on your own, tech savvy and all that. And we have
Wow.
Jake Dilling in the back too. I might just go sit in the background right there. What's up,
I'm
Jake?
right here.
Say hello to my
How's it going, gentlemen?
Fantastic.
It is wonderful, man. How you been?
Oh man, I've been doing all right, surviving.
There.
Survive. You got a
You know.
camera, or are you doing something that you don't want anybody to see?
No, I don't have a camera at the moment, so
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I'm on my phone, but I'm kind of like making food.
Well, wow, man, this is really cool. Did you set all this up, Mike, while you were in the background?
No, in order to send myself the link, I had to put it in the chat. And then Jake said, "Oh, there's the link. I'll jump on." So it's all good. Glad to have Jake D back on the show.
I thought you sent the link to me through your main event mic. I didn't even realize it was the show chat. I just saw main event and clicked it.
I saw
Happened to
two
me.
people in the background that I knew that they could only get in with a link that was sent from somebody, but it was me or you. So I knew that you wanted them on the show.
No, so before you start giving me kudos about being tech savvy, I couldn't figure out how to send the link as the Villain Squad and then accept it as main event Mike. So I had to put it in the chat, then switch accounts, and then go into the chat and hit the link. So sorry about all the confusion. I don't know what's going on with my stuff today. I couldn't hear you or see you. It was really frustrating.
The champ is here.
Hey, but at least
You
you,
know what?
figured out
It's
how to
Good
get
Vibes Thursday, so I'm not going to let any of it bring me down.
So which one do you want to start with in these firings? Because I got nice little slides for all of these guys. And I know that you got something prepared for all these guys. Who do you want to start with, Michael?
Well, I mean, the news coming out of New England is that Belichick is going to be gone, but it is not official yet. I can't confirm that. Jeremy, can you confirm? I mean, we haven't had an Ian Rappaport or an Adam Schefter or anything.
Adam Schefter
confirmed.
reported it a half hour ago. So yes, it's official.
Oh, okay. That's how long I've been trying to get on the show. So there you go. Bill Belichick, 24 years, folks. It comes to an end. 6 NFL titles in New England. A living legend. Absolutely the all-time greatest coach. You can dispute that if you want to, but the rings and the trophies say otherwise. He is a living legend. And at 71 years old, I just question Bill Belichick's desire to coach anymore. Jeremy B., what do you think of that?
I don't think he's lost the desire to coach because he's already being rumored to 2 to 3 other teams. It's been the Falcons, it's been the Commanders, and the Chargers. I think if he really wanted to slap in the face to New England, he'd go to the Chargers and lead Justin Herbert to a Super Bowl.
Really?
Ooh.
So okay. So
that being said, I think it's crazy that 25 years ago, or wait a minute, 30 years ago, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick was coaching assistants on the same team at Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. And then they retired.
And then within 24 hours, they're fired.
Right. So of those 3 jobs, Commanders, Atlanta, or the Chargers, if you're Bill Belichick, which one do you take?
Chargers, to slap New England right in the face and never let them see a Super Bowl.
Well, the other 2 teams are NFC teams, so going to the Charger, he'd stay in the conference and maybe bite him in the ass later on. So I like that call. But, they don't have a GM in Los Angeles either, so that might be a good fit for Belichick so he could do double duty, right? He could be GM and coach because we know he likes to have all that control. He likes to be the czar.
I would let him scout everything but wide receivers.
Jake D, same question. If you're Bill Belichick, is there a job out there you take? You probably can have any job you want. So what one do you want?
If I had to pick, I would pick the Chargers. But honestly, if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm retiring.
Right.
I mean, he's in his 70s. Nobody is going to accomplish what he's accomplished in the NFL. He, hands down, the best coach of all time, and like you said, he's 70 years old, and not many teams are really going to give him full control. I know he did offer to step down as GM in New England in order to stay on as the coach. So I don't know if he has any desire to coach outside of New England. I mean, just because the team's interested doesn't mean he is.
Right. And we all know Bill Belichick's an East Coast guy. His kids, his grandkids, they're all on the East Coast, and going all the way out to LA just seems like a stretch for me at his age. Even though SoCal's real good for the old bones, I'll tell you that. If I'm him, if any of these coaches, I like the Atlanta job the best with all the offensive skill weapons that they have that are young and an owner that doesn't meddle. I think I like the Atlanta job. What about you, Russ? If you're Bill Belichick, where are you going?
I'm with Jake on that. I think that he should retire at this point. I mean, you can argue that he's the greatest coach of all time with the rings. I put my 2 cents out there about him having the greatest quarterback of all time with him during that entire time, and the fact that he left and went somewhere else and won a championship, and then New England's franchise went to shit after Tom Brady left, puts a question mark on whether he's the greatest coach of all time. I think Pete Carroll's a better coach.
Wow. What about you, Jeremy? You think Pete Carroll's a better coach than Bill Belichick at its core?
At its core, you got to give the edge to Bill Belichick. And the reason why is not just Brady. Look at those defenses. He had a top 10 defense for 20 straight years. And I mean, yes, it fell off towards the end, but also look at all the turnover in the coaching staff. He's lost Brian Flores. Matt Patricia became retarded once he came to Detroit. All sorts of crap have happened. And then making him an offensive play caller as a defensive coordinator made about as much sense as wiping your butt than taking the crap.
Yeah, that's Jeremy B, folks, from Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B. He's the king of bad analogies, in case you were wondering.
And I love doing them.
I don't see why anybody would want to go to Washington. I mean, I realize they have new ownership, but their stadium's outdated, their facilities are outdated. They don't have much. That's a total rebuild there in Washington. I don't see Bill Belichick going through a total rebuild. And Atlanta and the Chargers do seem like the teams that are most ready to win, maybe even Seattle. Let's talk about that real quick. Pete Carroll, a legend, who won a national title in college. He won a Super Bowl in the pros. Definitely an all-time great, a first ballot Hall of Famer, Pete Carroll. This one came as a shock, though, right? I mean, no one saw this coming. There were no rumors leaking out like the Belichick thing. All these other coaches, we kind of knew the day before they were fired that it was going to happen. But Pete Carroll, did you see this one coming, Jeremy?
You could see throughout the season as the ebbs and flows of Geno Smith looking like last year's Geno Smith and then like New York Jets Geno Smith. As you saw that happening, you could see him age this year progressively. And retirement was the right way to go for him. And now he's going to be in an advisor role with the Seahawks. He actually retired. He wasn't fired. He just stepped down, and he's going to be an advisor. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see them take a stab at either Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson.
Wow. John Schneider, GM out there in Seattle, is a pretty slick guy. It seemed like they might want to promote from within, I would think, over there. Seattle, I mean, I think really Geno Smith's been exposed, right? He had a good first half of the season last year, but they only finished with 9 wins. And then they don't make the playoffs this year. He's just Geno Smith. Nothing special, right? He was overrated and overhyped when you get off to, win 4 of your first 5 games and then 6 of the first 8. That'll get you overhyped. And then they give him a nice fat 2-year contract, which he's still going to be on next year. I think Seattle's going to be in the market for a coach and a quarterback going into next year. Jake D, any thoughts on Pete Carroll, the legend, retiring? Of course, it's all being overshadowed. Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, it's all being overshadowed by Belichick. But I think this is big news in the NFC. What do you think, Jake?
Man, I love Pete Carroll. I always have from his days at USC. He's a heck of a motivator. He's a heck of a coach. I don't know of many coaches that could have had a winning record with Geno Smith at quarterback. Him stepping down really caught me by surprise. I didn't expect that. But like Jeremy said, this season did kind of wear on him a little bit. And he is what, 73, 74?
72, I believe.
72.
72?
He's 6 months older than Bill Belichick.
At some point, these guys are going to hang it up. And who I think is going to end up getting the job there in Seattle is Dan Quinn. He built the Legion of Boom. Yeah, he had a kind of a rocky road with his time as a head coach, but bringing him back to Seattle, bring that 12th man back.
That's such a great call. Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, rumored for all of these head coaching jobs. There's even a rumor that if Dallas gets bounced in the first round, that McCarthy would be gone and they would slot Dan Quinn right into that spot with Dallas. But I love that call out, Jake. He was the architect of the Legion of Boom, one of the greatest defenses the NFL's ever seen. They love him up there in Seattle. And I think John Schneider, his relationship with Dan Quinn might be a really good fit right there. The continuity, the relationship with Pete Carroll, who's still staying on as advisor, like Jeremy said. I love that call out, Jake. That's something that I hadn't even considered. We'll have to wait and see what the Cowboys do in the playoffs, because we know Jerry Jones has a hair trigger finger, right? The guy's almost unpredictable. So Russell Wayne,
he's a Texan.
On the Seattle job.
First of all, I want to say that I love Pete Carroll. I was talking about him earlier when you guys were figuring out the audio stuff right there. Pete Carroll, winning a national championship and then coming in after trading your franchise quarterback whom you won a Super Bowl with and getting draft pick 3 years in a row. You took a team with Geno Smith and went to the playoffs. To me, that solidifies it for me. I think, and to me, when I compare Belichick and Carroll together, this is like comparing, LeBron and Kobe and Jordan all together. It's like these guys are all great. Okay, these are two of the greatest coaches that we've ever seen coach. Like Nick Saban. You're not gonna find better coaches. So it's apples to oranges right here but I like Pete Carroll better than Belichick. He's got a lot of things that are in his shady past right there where Pete Carroll kind of doesn't. Maybe coming out of USC a little bit, but that's nothing that every national champion coach hasn't had to go through. Mike, you just went through that and you guys went through that with Michigan. And congratulations on that victory, by the way.
Thank you. As a heck of a win, man. A lot of people talked about going in, like how Michigan's never faced an offense like that. Well, they've never faced a defense like Michigan's. And Ohio State, Alabama, and Washington all said the same thing after playing Michigan. They have never seen coverages like that. And that is probably the closest they will see to an NFL defense at the college level at this time.
Yeah, Michigan defense was smothering in that, and kind of predicted that too. That's why I threw my own hard-earned money on that game and won some money off of it. I am a Buckeye fan, but I'm not an idiot. I know who to put the money on.
we forgive you, Russ. We forgive you.
Yeah.
Now
I can't help where I was born.
Let's talk about Jim Harbaugh for a minute. Jim Harbaugh said before the start of the season, he's not interested in going to the pros. He's going to stay at Michigan. So you know what that means. That means he's definitely not staying at Michigan and he's going to go to the pros.
Well, the fact he hired back his pro agent again this year tells you he's going to field the calls.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So obviously, everyone thinks that it's a foregone conclusion that Jim Harbaugh will be going back to the pro ranks. Which one of these jobs seems to fit Jim Harbaugh the best? Raiders, but the fan base might mutiny if they let go of Antonio Pierce. Jeremy,
they might, but that's what Mark Davis does. They mutinied over Bisaccia.
Yep.
Then they hired Josh McDaniels, which was an epic failure. Jim Harbaugh wants total control. So the only two teams that don't have a GM is the Chargers and Raiders.
And the Commanders.
Yeah, but the Commanders will hire a GM because they have new ownership. I'm talking about people that are in place that might allow a coach to take over a team.
So if you're Jim Harbaugh, what team's the most appealing for you, Jeremy?
I think the Raiders, because he gets reunited with owner / former player and teammate Tom Brady.
That's a great call out. However, the Chargers don't have a GM in place either. They fired Tedesco, so they're without a GM. That's another possible landing
like I
spot.
said, those are the two landing spots that I see that are the most likely. I don't think the Redskins are, because with Magic Johnson being involved with that ownership group, he will get a GM in there.
Okay.
And the Commanders just hired
Rick Spielman,
big guy from basketball. They hired a guy from basketball. Meyer. I couldn't remember his name, to help them find a GM. So they're gonna end up with a GM here shortly.
Right, and Rick Spielman, who's a moron in my opinion, they hired him to help with the search as well. The former GM of the Vikings, and of course Chris Spielman's brother. So let's talk about a couple of these teams: Carolina, Tennessee. I mean, obviously the big names we mentioned: Belichick, Harbaugh, Dan Quinn. These guys fill some of these jobs. There's still going to be plenty of jobs open. Who's a dark horse candidate, Jeremy, that you can think of that people might not be talking about for a head coaching job? I got a couple in my mind. I'll let you go ahead and go first. Who do you think might fill some of these positions?
Tennessee's
Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, right?
Tennessee's first phone call was to reach out to interview Aaron Glenn. I think they want him bad. They want a defensive coach. They want to fix that defense. Vrabel has slowly but surely let that defense regress over the last 3 years. The first 2 years it was in the top 10, then it was in the top 20, then it was in the top 25. Now it's at the bottom of the league. And I think Aaron Glenn is a better head coach than he will be a defensive coordinator, because of the relationship he has with his players. I've said this all season, and I'll continue to say it. I think he is a good coach. I just don't think his scheme quite works the way he runs it. That's all I say.
Right. Even though he's ascended with this defense every year he's been in charge, you're still ready to get rid of this guy. Because I don't understand that, Jeremy.
The defense didn't become more aggressive till Dan Campbell put his hands on it. He said after the Chicago Bears loss, I'm putting my hands on this defense. And it's been more aggressive and better since.
Through the first 5 games, though, Jeremy, we were a top 10 ranked defense without Dan Campbell helping.
That was just because of rushing. It wasn't because of passing.
But I'm just saying, Aaron Glenn has made the defense better year over year. It keeps rising. So why are you and so many others ready to give up on a guy that the players would run through a brick wall for?
I just think it's time for him to move to the next step.
Okay. Fair enough.
I can tell you why.
JT, which camp are you in? Get rid of Aaron Glenn, or this guy's doing a great job?
I'm really kind of on the fence, actually. He has done a good job as of late. But like Jeremy said, Dan Campbell has his hands on the defense, and that does matter. And it has improved every year. But his play calling and his game planning are hit and miss, and they have been all season long. And pretty much since he's taken over, he'll have a game where, he will call a great game. And then the next week, you're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah, but guys, his
playing
roster,
guys out of position.
His roster isn't loaded with talent.
Well, no, and I agree with that. Mainly on the back end. Jerry Jacobs was never meant to be a starter this year. He was not meant to start. That job was supposed to be Mosley, and it was supposed to be Sutton on the other side. Injuries really played a part on the back end of that defense. And honestly, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, he's staying. He's not going to go nowhere. They're not going to fire him.
No.
Right.
Unless he gives up 50 points in the playoff game or something like that. But I do agree he doesn't have the talent that most other D coordinators have on a 12-win team.
Mm-hmm. So, Jake, we'll keep it here with you. Do you think Ben Johnson leaves? And if so, where does he go?
I think Ben Johnson leaves, and I think he ends up on the Chargers.
You think? Wow.
I think he ends up out there.
Wow.
Him and Herbert. It's either there or Seattle. The reason I say Seattle, they got Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
They got Zach Charbonnet. They got another year with Geno. We've seen what he's done with Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
But He can also draft his future quarterback. He's got the two-headed monster. He needs to run his offensive scheme. I mean, what more do you want? They got solid defense. They got good receivers.
Yeah. And I heard Rush go, ooh, because that's a scenario we've never considered yet. Ben Johnson to the Seahawks makes so much sense. And I'll tell you why. Because Pete Carroll being there in an advisory role as a young first-time head coach, you couldn't ask for more. DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, that team's loaded on offense. Ben Johnson could be huge out there with Pete Carroll out there mentoring him through the minefield that is the head coaching position with all of the other responsibilities that come with it. I don't like the call of him going to the Chargers, and the reason is because Spanos, the owner of the Chargers, has tried these first-time coaches the last 2 times, and it's not working. People say that he's doing that because he's cheap. So we're going to find out if that's true. If he does go that route with a first-time head coach, I think that's going to lend some validity to that claim that the dude is just cheap, because they need an experienced head coach out there in the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's got all the talent in the world, but he's still a 500 quarterback. Okay. Good quarterbacks can rise above that kind of stuff. And I have yet to see that from Justin Herbert. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on all of that? Ben Johnson to the Seahawks.
I actually said that before I said anything about Pete Carroll being in the advisory role, and you said, without Geno Smith, why would he want to go there?
I didn't say that, but go ahead.
Yeah. When I first started talking about Pete Carroll being gone and who could replace him, I did say Ben Johnson.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I'll check the replay and call you out on that if you're wrong.
Yeah.
Russ, what do you think?
Well, I love the call out right there. I've always had this sneaky suspicion in the back of my mind that as much as we love our Jared Goff right now, that wherever Ben Johnson goes, that we're going to trade Jared Goff to, and in comes the Hendon Hooker era, right?
Right.
So I thought that, and right there in Seattle, I mean, are you really that big of a believer in Geno Smith, or would you take Ben Johnson and a trade from Jared Goff to that franchise and let him throw to Jackson Smith, Najigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett? So I don't know, just a thought on top of your thought.
Mm-hmm.
Food for thought.
That would be awesome to see Jared Goff play Sean McVay twice a year.
and beat him twice a year.
Isn't that appealing?
I can't stand Sean McVay.
Guess who has extra draft picks to come and get Jared Goff too?
The sad part is, here in Detroit, if that happened, a bunch of people would be wearing Seahawks jerseys. They call them the Detroit Seahawks.
Right, we'd have Detroit Rams and Detroit Seahawks at the playoffs time.
Good God.
Hey,
the thing is we talked about.
It's my quarterback.
I love my quarterback. I don't want to see my quarterback, Jared Goff. I want to see Jared Goff come in this weekend and get his revenge on Sean McVay. I want to see him come in there. There ain't no way that team's coming into Ford Field and winning.
So there ain't no way. That's a total of 8 jobs available in the NFL now, right?
Yes.
Carolina. Right?
Well, I've got
Carolina, Atlanta.
I see 7 that are confirmed. Only 7 that are confirmed, with New England confirming today. Las Vegas, New Orleans, Chicago, Tampa, and the Jets all still not confirmed if they're going to make a coaching change. I heard that Eberflus is staying, but that hasn't been confirmed either.
There was a firing last night, too.
Offensive coordinator.
Luke Getsy.
No. There was a head coach fired last night because it was 6 listed yesterday morning, and there was a firing last night plus Bill Belichick this morning. That's 8 vacancies.
Tennessee, Vrabel was let go yesterday.
Right. Pete Carroll retiring is another vacancy, right?
Oh, there it is. That's the one I'm missing.
That's
Seattle.
8.
Yep. You're right. So that's 8 open coaching jobs right now in the NFL, which that's a quarter of the league, 25% of the league. And we still have some other ones like Las Vegas. We don't know what they're going to do yet.
It's a foregone conclusion. They're not hiring Pierce.
I 100% expect New Orleans to fire their coach. If they don't, I'll be really surprised. I know there's rumors that he's going to stay, but I just can't see it happening, especially after what happened in the
Raiders
last game.
is listed in the 6 that don't have coaches.
Yeah.
his team lost complete respect for him. The fact that they went out there in victory formation and decided to do a run play is direct disrespect towards the head coach.
I agree. That
And
shows
the
you've
fact that
lost
they,
the team.
yeah. So you have to fire him. I cut Jameson Winston instantly. I'd have cut him right after that game, and I'd fire Dennis Allen.
Yeah,
I'd get them both out of
I
there.
agree. And if I'm a Saints fan, that's what they've got to be screaming today. Folks, you're watching
Yeah.
Oh,
Talk with Russell Wayne on the Main Event 365 Network. Be sure to follow us on Facebook if you're not already. It's Lions Villain Squad. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Main Event 365. We're trying to beef up this YouTube channel. We're doing really well on Facebook, but we really need some more engagement. So share away. Please like the video that you're watching. I know the numbers are pretty despairing there. The amount of people that are watching to the amount of people who have actually clicked the like button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Reach down, click the like button, and follow us and support us. We appreciate you all so much. I love this graphic you've got up here. It's good. It's Feel Good Thursday. You're fired.
You're fired. Right here. Here's a little message from this is how I feel. All of the Stafford jersey wearers feel like this relationship, reunion should be.
Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
So
yeah, and if you're going to the game on Sunday, make sure it isn't like that. Boo the hell out of that guy. Make it loud. And did all of you see the comments that Alex Anzalone said this week? He said, get rowdy. And by the way, don't start making noise once they get up to the line. Start making noise when they get in the huddle. Make it hard in the huddle. So if you're going to be at the game, scream your lungs out for your Lions team when the team is in the huddle. That's great advice from Alex Anzalone. I don't think that we're going to see a bunch of Stafford fans cheering for him. I think this is a created narrative. It's hype. Real Lions fans are going to be rooting against Matt Stafford and the Rams. Any of you guys on this panel feel differently about that?
But I want to read this off in order because this is according to what was just released this morning, according to NBC Los Angeles. The 8th best job is the Carolina Panthers. The 7th is the New England Patriots. The 6th is the Tennessee Titans. The 5th is the Los Angeles Chargers. The 4th is the Atlanta Falcons. The 2nd is the Seattle Seahawks. And the 1st, overall, Washington Commanders.
And what happened to number 3? That must be Carolina.
No, Carolina was the bottom.
You didn't give us 3.
5. Who didn't I list then? I must have missed somebody.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Wagers.
Raiders were number 3.
Yeah.
And that job's not actually even open yet.
No, it's open because they didn't hire Antonio Pierce.
And this came from what source?
NBC Los Angeles.
Okay.
Mark Davis has never hired an interim head coach and doesn't plan on doing so, according to Las Vegas offices.
I've heard that the Giants would love to get Antonio Pierce as their new defensive coordinator with the departure of Wink Martindale.
Right. And if AG goes, I'd love Wink Martindale in Detroit.
Right.
Or Antonio Pierce.
Either one.
And Wink Martindale's a fiery guy. Him and Dan Campbell together, that might be a great pairing.
I think it would be.
Right.
Well, did you hear what he did when he left New York? He cussed out Brian Dable.
Well, he's been cussing out Brian Dable since week 8.
Cussed him out, said I quit, jumped on a plane to Florida.
Yep.
Well, but anyway, back to the whole Stafford thing. I will tell you right now, I love Matthew Stafford. Okay? He did some great things in Detroit. He did some bad things in Detroit. But this weekend, I hope he has the absolute worst game of his life. I hope he's never comfortable in the pocket. I hope he throws 5 interceptions and doesn't even crack 100 yards. I want,
Right.
I want him to play the worst game ever because he's not a Lion. I don't want him to do good this weekend during the season. Playing somebody else, yeah, that's fine. When you come to Detroit, you need to suck.
Right on.
And I think a lot of Lions fans think that way.
Yeah, I think it's overblown. All this
Completely overblown.
I think Jeremy's he muted.
Yeah, I did. I muted myself because the dog was barking. But I can't believe the Washington Commanders are considered the best job according to NBC Los Angeles.
Maybe because
I think it's because of the bias towards Magic Johnson.
Ow! Sorry, my dog is attacking me. I have a 10-month-old, 50-pound. I have a 50-pound, 10-month-old pit bull puppy, and he apparently thinks I'm his chew toy right now.
So I guess we'll go right back to that again, right?
Thank you for being a friend.
That's not your dog right now, is what you're saying. No, this is the thing I wanted to say about this was like, don't think. I mean, Friday, Matt's going to show up. And they're going to do some sort of charity thing, and he's going to raise a whole bunch of money for the city of Detroit, and he's going to be a great person off of the field, and nobody is taking that away from him. Matt Stafford is a wonderful human being, so much that he keeps his charities and everything that he's doing in Detroit, and he's doing a whole bunch of stuff in LA. He's a wonderful human being. Nobody's saying that. The thing is, he's going to come out Sunday, whether you want to be his friend or not, and he wants to take your Lion fan heart out of your chest and take a hunk out of it, spit it out, throw it down on the ground, stomp on it, and take his team to the next round of the playoffs. Don't care how much you like them. Wear the jersey or don't wear the jersey. I don't give a shit. But all they're saying is put Williams over the Stafford part. Support the Lions. You're against Stafford this week. And then you can go back. I mean, then send him a message on Tuesday and say, "Good job, Matt."
My message to the fans is don't be like Brian Chapman from 97 Won the Ticket at Night, who plays the Detroit Rams self-made theme song.
Oh my God.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Did you say 70? Anyway.
No, Brad Allen doesn't understand words, signals, or anything.
Oh my gosh. Oh, there we go. I love the new do. Getting that Honolulu blue cut in there. He had it in gray a couple weeks ago. But there you go.
No.
So this has been Football Talk with Russell Wayne, and we had a couple extra guests on here, which was really cool because it was really cool to see these point of views on all of these different coach firings. Is this unprecedented, guys, that it's this many, or is it like this every year and I'm just crazy?
Every year there's a turnover about 5 or 6 coaching jobs. This year we're seeing a bigger pool.
It is bigger, so I'm not crazy to think that this is bigger.
Right.
And then it's interesting here between these coordinators right here. And I pose this one out to you guys that are out there listening, that which one of these coordinators, and I think actually now, since there's 8 jobs, that probably both of them will be gone. Yep. I mean, they're going to get a lot of offers from these. What do you think, Jeremy? I mean, which one of these guys is?
I think you're right. I think both of them are gone because Ben Johnson has 2 or 3 offers right now. AG has 2 or 3 offers. And the only ones that are the top team, and they want to talk to both of them according to that stat list, is Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they have an early pick. They have all sorts of stuff going for him. They have a top 10 pick. There's 4 valid first-round quarterbacks this year. Am I saying they're all going to be good? No. As
Are
we've
you
all
counting
learned,
JJ McCarthy as one of those?
he's borderline.
So
I
you
think
got
he's
Caleb, Drake May, and you got Michael Penix. Who's the fourth one then?
Jaden Daniels, who's a 6th-year quarterback.
The
Out
Heisman
of
Trophy
LSU.
winner from LSU.
Yes.
J.J. McCarthy has yet to make a decision on his future with the NFL. Also, I think Ben Johnson.
I think
He's a junior.
I thought J.J. McCarthy used up his 5 years of eligibility because he was never when he was redshirted. They had to bring him in medically, and he's already played 5 years, even though he's
J.J. McCarthy.
No, he
Yeah.
hasn't. No,
I thought
No,
that
he
was
hasn't.
what
No.
that was what somebody was saying the other night in
No,
the chat.
that's incorrect.
Ooh, that is way incorrect. No.
JJ McCarthy would still have 2 years of eligibility, in fact.
Yep. I for one think he should come back and play another year because he has some stuff that he needs to work on. He's not the perfect quarterback, and he needs to work on touch. He needs to work on his downfield throws. He does that. I think he could be a really good coach. I heard a comparison the other day. Somebody compared him to Jared Goff with legs. He is Jared Goff, but can run. I don't know how true that is. I mean, I don't see it, but I might be a little bit blinded because J.J. McCarthy's the greatest quarterback to ever come through Michigan outside of Tom Brady. But
I don't see JJ McCarthy as a ready for the pros quarterback yet. I agree with you, Jake. He still needs development, and if he has even close to the year that he had this year, he'll definitely be a top 5 pick next year. He of all of those people we talked about, I think he's definitely the least ready for the pros. But here's a good question. This one comes right out of the comments because of my situation today. I can't see who it was, but somebody said, do you think AG and Ben Johnson is this going to affect their focus of getting through the playoffs with all these teams knocking on their doors to be a coach? Do you think that's going to affect them? Russell Wayne, I'll give you that one.
No, because that's what they get paid to focus on this team. And if they've shown us anything with the coaching staff here in Detroit, it's that they can maintain focus in high stress and they don't let the outside narratives come in and creep in. They didn't lose more than one game in a row all season long because they don't let the outside noise get in and infiltrate what they're doing. So no, that they're not letting any of the outside noise in. They're concentrated on the task at hand, which is to win a playoff game.
So it's a non-issue.
Non-issue.
Jake, what do you think?
I don't think it's an issue either. Like Russ said, these guys get paid a lot of money to focus, and I think that's where they're at right now. Is they're focused on winning because they know if they the deeper they make it in the playoffs, the better each side plays, the bigger their bag grows.
Right.
If they make it to
there. Jeremy, what do you think?
Yeah, if they make it to go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jake. Finish your take. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say if they make it to the NFC Championship game and the offense is scoring 30 points a game, and say up until the championship, that defense is holding guys under 20 points like they did against Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, what's your take on that?
I don't think they're going to even take any of the interviews till after we're out of the playoffs. I think their focus is making this team do the best they can. So I don't think they'll accept a single interview offer until after it's over.
Okay. Well, I respectfully disagree with all three of you because I'll tell you why. These guys have wives. They have families. And it's just like you or I. If we're working at a job and some other job comes over and offers us another position, we're still focused on our job. But don't think for a minute that that's not there in the back of our mind thinking about our future. And when you take a guy like Ben Johnson, who's only 37 years old, and I hate to say that was nearly 20 years ago for me, at 37 years old, I didn't really know what I wanted in life. And if I know that there's a big bag of freaking money waiting for me, don't think for a minute that wouldn't be a distraction to me. I definitely think it's a distraction. Whether or not it will affect these guys, I'm not sure of. No one will know that for sure. But I think you're an ostrich sticking your head in the sand if you think for a minute that it doesn't play into these guys' thought process and it's going to have a bearing on their psyche every single day until the season is over. So that's all I got to say about that.
Well, can I expand on that? Because
I think but you can expound on it.
Can I expound? Can I expound on that?
Yes.
I feel where you're coming from with that, but that's something that they've known. Both of these coaches have known the entire season that they're going to be a head coaching. People are going to be coming after them. As a matter of fact, Ben turned down the idea of him even being a head coach because he was so focused. So, I mean, he's not going to be, it may affect him in some way. I see where you're going there, but as far as affecting him negatively, I mean, I don't think it's going to take him away from his job whatsoever.
Think about it though, Russ. He didn't even know about the Seattle opportunity until yesterday. Now, all of a sudden, his whole thought process, he's got to wrap his whole head around a new possible opportunity.
But do you think that he's doing that, right? Wrapping his head around it right now? Because here's another thing is Ben Johnson's not the only person that's up for that job. So basically every single person that's up for a coordinator job is in that same category that you're saying right there. So he ain't going to be any more distracted than anybody else that is good enough at their job to get a promotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you could get into a scenario where one of these GMs or one of these owners say, we want to get you under contract right now. If you're going to take this job, you got to do it right now. You got to lead the Lions in the middle of a playoff run. I'm assuming that all three of you are saying that you would not do that.
That is against the rules for one. The NFLPA would come in and destroy that because right now they're not even allowed to talk to Ben Johnson until after the season is over.
Oh, okay. Good call.
So
yeah, I forgot.
There's nothing that is being said right now. All they can do is say, hey, we're interested in talking with Ben Johnson. Okay. And that's it. And if there's a text message, if there's a fart in the direction of Ben Johnson right now, that is tampering.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Here's the question. We've talked about this quite a bit in the Lions chats. Does the offense take a step back without Ben Johnson?
That's a great question.
I, for one, don't think so. I don't think it takes a step back. Is Ben Johnson doing some great things in Detroit? Yeah. But I think that offense has Dan Campbell written all over it. People forget he's an offensive mind. He coached under Sean Payton for years. Like, he's not this, buffoon, this idiot that everybody seems, to think that he is. No, he's not as articulate as some of the other coaches around the league. So, yeah, he might come off as a little dumb. He grew up on a cattle farm. Yeah, he grew up on a cattle farm in Texas. What do you expect? But he's got a college degree. He's played football for a long time. He's been coaching for a while now. That offense is Dan Campbell. It took over. That's what he wanted to do, and that is what they're doing.
Look, man, I'm not just a meathead.
He does. He has that persona about him where he's just kind of a meathead, but he's very, very smart. They've put together a coaching tree mentality here. And I think that Brad Holmes is this good, where not only are they developing players, but they're also developing coaches. And I'm one of the believers that if Aaron Glenn does leave, that it's Kelvin Shepard's job, because that's just the way that we've been doing this. I don't know from the offensive side, but maybe it's Steve Hyden. Maybe he gets the offensive coordinator job. I don't know, but I like that because as you lose your coaches and they get promotions, the NFL's put in a compensatory pick deal with you losing coaches to promotion. So if we lose Aaron Glenn, then we're going to get a compensatory pick for losing our coach to a head coaching job. Isn't that pretty
I
cool?
agree.
I
Two
think
of them.
Right.
Two of them.
I got a hard
Two comp
stop at
picks.
noon, guys. God bless you all. I'm out. Peace out.
All right. Well, I'm gonna promote him then. That is main event Mike right
Mike.
there. Yep. And we have stopped doing the trash talk thing on the Mondays because it's usually the same three people that show up and we end up just talking football anyway. So if we do have a evening show on Mondays, we're just going to be talking football. We're not going to get into, and you feel free to trash talk all you want in the comments right there. I love looking at some of the fights that we got going on in some of these comments right here. But
all I know is that we had a bunch of Lions fans ganging up on Sarah Jean, who's been an excellent Minnesota fan, and she does actually know football. And she's right. We do have a suspect secondary. Is it healthier? Is it playing better? Yes. But you know what? Don't sit there and bash her because of our problems.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not looking at that. What do we got?
It happened earlier in the show. I just wanted to address it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a trash talking platform right here. So, I mean, if you guys want to trash talk each other in there, but yeah, be nice. Don't go be attacking anybody personally on there. Sarah is an awesome Minnesota Vikings fan. I mean, you can hate the Vikings all you want, but don't be hating the people in here. We're all football fans. So I think that's where Jeremy's trying to get right there. Be nice within that. And our secondary is suspect that, but we had a lot of injury in that spot. And here's something with Aaron Glenn's defense that it's been beautiful to watch. And if you look at it from a blimp, then you can really kind of see how it's grown. Like the defense was grown from nothing. So the offense was the only pieces that were carried over, right? You got your Frank Ragnow, you kept Taylor Decker, and then you drafted Penei Sewell as your first corner piece. The defense started out with a bunch of cab drivers and drywallers, undrafted free agents that they kind of pieced together like a Band-Aid. And then in the second year, they drafted some defensive pieces, and then here in the third year, they've drafted some defensive pieces. So the entire defense is pretty young when it comes around to it. And if you're looking at it from a blimp, you can watch how some of these young players have started to, take on to that developmental thing that we got going on. Like, look at Iffy. Nobody saw Iffy coming. I didn't see Iffy coming. Actually, you and I were on here wondering if he was going to get cut, when it came from training camp.
Yep.
So here's this guy out of nowhere that, Aaron Glenn and Brad Holmes identified 3 years ago that is just now starting to come to fruition. Derek Barnes starting to come to fruition. Jack Campbell, a little bit quicker of a bloomer. He's starting to come to fruition. Brian Branch starting to come to fruition. Now you get CJ Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back to throw into that, weak secondary. So I think there's answers to these problems that Sarah brings to light with our secondary that's already on the team that they don't have tape on, especially if you get James Houston back, especially if Aiden Hutchinson keeps playing at the level that Aiden Hutchinson is playing at. Because I tell you what, I don't give a shit how good Puka Nacua is and Cooper Kupp is if Aiden Hutchinson lives in the backfield.
Right.
It don't matter. So
completely agree. Hutchinson has picked the perfect time of year to heat up. You look at his last 3 weeks, and he has been an absolute menace on the field. He's racking up sacks. He's in the quarterback's face all day long. Heck, guys are even starting to say he's a dirty player. Fans are coming across say he's a dirty player. Hey, he ain't a dirty player. You're just mad that he lived in your backfield for 4 quarters, and the great Tyron Smith couldn't stop him, and Rashawn Slater or Darisaw, none of them guys could stop him. And now you're just like, oh, well, he's got to be a dirty player if he's getting by them. No, he's just hitting his stride, and he's doing it at the perfect time. And as far as I know our secondary is suspect, and I've said this before in one of the Lions chats. I think the Lions have the best safety room in the NFC heading into the playoffs right now. Brian Branch, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Tracy Walker, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Kirby Joseph. And Joseph is showing that he's a ball hawk. Ifeatu is, I've never seen a guy blitz from 15 yards out and still smack the quarterback. Like, I think his blitzing is very underrated. He's done pretty well in coverage, and then you got the vet, C.J. Gardner-Johnson coming back. He brings that swagger. Tracy Walker is a pretty good box safety. I just wouldn't trust him in coverage. But you bring him in on run plays to play in that box, and he can make some noise in that run game as well.
Yeah, we're one shutdown type of corner away from that. The entire secondary being transformed because of what you're saying right there. It's like you wish that you could just take one of those dudes and just make him a shutdown corner, like, instead of being great at that, because they can't get them all on the field at the same time. But the guys are peaking at the right time. That's kind of where I'm good. They've been developing all year, and you've kind of watched them struggle from here and there. But this defense has definitely picked it up over the last couple of weeks. And guys like Aiden Hutchinson, I think the word motor is mischaracterized when people use the word. I think they think, okay, well, in this game, he's going to be able to last the whole game. No, this is the season thing, guys. The reason why Aiden Hutchinson is doing well at the end of the season is because of his motor. Like, while other teams are getting injured and beaten down and their bodies are starting to break down, Aiden Hutchinson, his motor doesn't stop. He's still running the 357 or the huge motor that is just running, just keeps purring, right? Everybody else's motors are breaking down. So now he's in peak while everybody else is playing at 70%. So that's what's happening.
He's like that 4.0. He's like that 4.0 they put in the old Jeep Cherokees. They just don't quit.
Yep.
They never quit.
Yep. All these other guys have been driving uphill for 18 weeks, and Aiden Hutchinson's ready for it. He's got his backpack, man. He's been running uphill. He's like, cool, I got this, dude. And he gets to the top of the hill, and everyone's like, oh, he's like, oh, shoot, I'm ready to climb another one. That's motor.
And that goes his work that he puts in the off season. They showed it all off season long, what he does. He never stops training. And when you do that, you're not going to slow down. And he brought that from Michigan. You look at their strength and conditioning coach, he's probably the best in the country. And it's rubbed off on the players. Every Michigan player that you see come to the NFL, what do they all have in common? They have that motor. They have that hard work. They have that, they have that drive, and they never stop working. They're constantly working to get better. He does.
Sewell's got that, and that's what they've gotten. They not only brought in guys that are talented, but these guys have to fit that mold. It isn't just about how talented you. Yeah, you need to be talented, but you also have to have that drive to want to get better, to do exactly what the coaches are telling you technique wise and everything. And then I promise you it'll pay off. And it's great to see it through guys like Iffy and Derek Barnes. And then, watching Jack Campbell develop the entire season. He was so good at the beginning of the season. They didn't know where to put him because Anzalone was playing so good. You want to put him in the middle, but no, Anzalone's the guy, right? So they try to put him out on the edge. They try to put him at the weak side linebacker. They tried to have him rush the passer. Just kept on grinding and until finally Anzalone got injured for 2 weeks or something like that, or a week and a half. Then they put Jack Campbell right in the middle of that defense in his rightful spot. And then everything, finally it clicked. You got Jack in the middle. You got Barnes on the one side. You got Anzalone on the other side. Let's frickin' go. That's the linebacker core.
Just announced I know Dan Lanning was supposedly the leading candidate for the Alabama job. He has announced that he is staying at Oregon.
Okay.
He is not going to take the Bama job.
Well, we don't want to do that.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me.
Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, he's got so many rings, so many national championships. I don't even know how many did he end with. Does anybody know off the top of their head? How many?
7.
Seven.
I believe 7.
That's one of the greatest coaches right there. So that's going to be tough.
No one is going to fill Saban's shoes at Alabama. That program is going to take a step back, and and maybe not far, but they are going to take a step back because you can't replace a guy like Saban.
Nope, you cannot. That's what's really good about you guys having Harbaugh staying. I mean, I think with him staying, I think there's a good chance that JJ McCarthy stays. And I think he'll make himself some money if he stays.
If Harbaugh leaves, his replacement is on the coaching staff already.
See,
it's Sharon Moore.
I like that. I like that, not because I like Michigan or anything, but I like that because that's what I feel like we're doing with the Lions too. They're developing coaches that go and get bigger and better opportunities. So you develop leaders.
Yeah. And people they're like, oh, who's going to replace Harbaugh? Moore won 6 games without Harbaugh this year. He was suspended for half the season. Sharon Moore. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna. I mean, as a Buckeye fan, I watched that happen, and I was like, yeah, what are you gonna do without that? You guys, he proved it. He proved it. Like I had to get off of that stance, because you can't say anything. You took the head coach out for the most important games of the year, and Michigan won anyway. You got nothing to say. Shut up about the signs. Shut up about all of that BS. They earned it. You went into the playoffs. You took care of business against Alabama, and then you destroyed an inferior team in Washington in a national championship. And nothing can take that away.
I want to hear your thoughts, Russ, on Ryan Day.
My thoughts on Ryan Day is I think he's a good coach, and I think that he should stay the Ohio State coach. But the funniest thing about the Ryan Day thought process, and Michigan fan can relate to this, is this dude has lost 2 games like in the regular season in the last 4 years. And the fact that he's considered being fired tells you everything that you need to know about this rivalry.
Right. And it's not that he's lost 2 regular season games in the last couple of years. It's
my bad.
3. It's who he lost to.
Right. That's what I mean. You've lost 3 games, and I think it might even be 5 years, 3 regular seasons in 5 years, because Michigan didn't even play them in 2020. So this is like 3 regular seasons games that you've lost in 5 years, and they're thinking about firing him. That tells you everything that you need to know about the rivalry.
Now, here's one thing that keeps coming up. Does he have a soft team? Is Ryan Day soft? And that's why they're losing to Michigan? Because they're getting beat up at the line?
I thought the last game was so good. It was, and it could have went either way. And you would have to give us kudos at that point. But it was a beat down last year, and it was a beat down the first year. But I think they closed the gap this year. Especially, and it wasn't even the Michigan game that did that. It was the year before that when C.J. Stroud went in and went toe-to-toe with Georgia. I think that's where Ryan thought, like, okay, we're just one of the best teams in the nation, and it's not just about Ohio State, Michigan. It's like we're gonna fight this game out. And yeah, they lost, but it wasn't as embarrassing as years past.
The Ohio State-Michigan game this year was one of the best football games I have watched in a long, long time. I mean, not just because Michigan won, but the fact that Ohio State fought tooth and nail, to the end. They actually had a lead on Michigan. They were the only team that ever got a lead on Michigan in the second half.
Yep, and that defense is pro. That's what it came down to. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a real deal. You guys found that out, but it's
he's solid.
But you can't do it with one player. You can have one guy dominating, just like Justin Jefferson against the Lions. Like, you can have one dominating player, and it sucks that they were getting burnt by the same player, but nobody else burned them.
Yeah.
Like, who else you got? Well, nobody. Well, one guy got off.
Here's a take. I get hate for this. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the third best receiver in this class.
Sure. I mean, that's arguable.
Neighbors from LSU and Odunze from Washington, I think, are the two, are 1 and 2. I think Neighbors is the best one coming out. LSU has been crapping out receivers since OBJ, and they put out a string of them ever since then. The Buckeyes have too. I can't say that. They put out a lot of good talent.
Yeah.
Last
year was the offensive rookie of the year. Then they got Chris Olave, Mike Thomas. I mean, they got they're all over the. But I'll tell you what, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, there's just something about this. This is generational right here. I'm going to respectfully disagree with that, because the other players that you're talking about are insanely good, I think. But, there is only one Calvin Johnson, right? There is only one, like, generational type of guy that's going to come out. And I think Marvin Harrison is that. It is what it is. It's nothing against those other guys.
Have a good day.
How much of that hype is coming from who his dad is, though?
I mean, there may be some of that, but that's where the pedigree comes from. There ain't true. There ain't no free ride coming from Marvin Harrison's son. I bet you he's harder on Marvin Harrison Jr. than he would ever be on any other player. And I know that because I'm a father. You want great things.
Oh yeah.
So.
I'm hard on my boy. He's only 6.
I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is like one of those like ancient like Japanese, where he's training right from at 4 years old. He's running routes, and he's got a complete route tree at 4.
Oh, he was. That's one thing I can say about this generation. Let's say the last of the NFL players all taught their boys how to play. You're seeing, like, I'm watching guys come in, that I watched their dads play. Anthony Winfield. There's a couple other guys too. Heck, even Aiden.
I must have lost him. Jake, where'd you go? Oh. Well, must have lost Jake right there. But, talking about these great players, with a pedigree, it's not like name recognition isn't what gets these guys back into the league. They don't just get back in. This league's hard to get into, and there will be no free rides. The fact that other family members get in just show you that they have an entire family that knows that work ethic that it needs right from the get-go. I mean, not everybody gets that right from high school, junior high school. That's why they're good. When you have a professional person is teaching you how to do what you do. Marvin Harrison, one of the greatest wide receiver of all time, raising a son. It's like the ancient Japanese warriors are teaching them their kung fu throughout their whole life, and they train and they train every day, discipline, being consistent. Shit, that'll work with anything. Consistency is everything in every field. You back, Jake? Did I get you back yet?
I think so. I'm backstage.
Okay. I lost your audio there for a second, so.
I stepped outside because my dog was attacking me. So I let him outside to go to the bathroom. My arm is right now is tore up with teeth marks. So,
well, I am sorry about that.
Sometimes. Oh, he's all right. He's all right. He gets playing too rough and gets thrown in the headlock. So, but yeah, I agree with. I heard what you were saying though, and I do agree that these guys are taught. Oh.
It's like just think about that. If you could have gotten that as a football player to get that world-class type of training right from grade school, that's no wonder these guys are so good. But here's something I threw up on the screen that is one of these. I've had this slide for a few weeks. The Lions aren't as good as the good teams. True or false? And I want you to answer that out there, and whoever's listening out there. And I want you to answer that. They got a chance to really prove it this week, but Lions aren't as good as the good teams. This myth all year long.
I think they are. I think that Baltimore game was a hiccup. I think they play that game 10 times in a row. And you're not going to see a score like that again. Lamar Jackson's a heck of a talent. I think he kind of caught us off guard with his rushing ability. But I think they are as good as these good teams. Yeah, they didn't have too much success against some of the upper the better teams that they say. But look at Dallas. They're talking about Dallas was considered the best team in football there for a while, and they didn't beat anybody with a winning record until freaking a few weeks ago to the Eagles.
So it's like a bad narrative, because it's whoever it seems like Dallas got apologized for, and the Lions aren't as good as a good team. So I think what it comes down to is you got teams like Philadelphia who lost 5 in a row. Those were one of the teams that we just aren't better than, right? And I would put money.
Detroit hasn't lost 5 in a row all season.
The Lions haven't lost 2 in a row. I think the Lions are better than Philadelphia. I think the Lions are just as good of a team as San Francisco. You just got to play these teams. Maybe not San Francisco. Maybe San Francisco's better, but it's not David versus the Goliath. They may be a little bit better.
No, it's really not. And honestly, does anybody really want to come to Detroit and play the Lions in the playoffs right now? Well, with the type of motivator that Dan Campbell is? His pregame speech? Those guys are going to go out there probably more fired up than they ever have been before. And everyone's worried, the Rams, they can do this, they can do that. I don't think they understand exactly what they're getting themselves into.
I think the Rams.
We're gonna. The Rams do.
But the Lions are a better team than the Rams, guys, and this is just the fact of life here. I know that everybody wants to talk about Stafford versus Goff, and that's not even where the real matchup is. It's going to be in the middle, and it's going to be with Penei Sewell keeping Goff upright. Frank the Tank needs to keep Aaron Donald out of the backfield, and this offense is going to zing. This defense that the Rams have been giving up 30 points a game. They're not going to be stopping our offense. We should be able to run against this team. And defensively,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like their offensive line is been okay, but we have ascending defensive linemen. If our defensive linemen can live in the backfield, it's a wrap.
And what has been one of the most successful plays for the Rams is the play action pass, because Kyron Williams has really come into his own. Detroit doesn't give up many rushing yards. They haven't given up 100 to a single running back all season long. Maybe Tony Pollard looked like it was his first day on the job.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you can go back to the Seattle game, and they shut down Seattle's run game. They shut down Bijan Robinson. You name a running back in the NFL they played, they shut him down. I have yet to see a running back have success against Detroit this year. And when you force a team to be one-dimensional, you have a better shot at winning that game.
Absolutely. And
you know, I mean,
they could score on it. I mean, the thing is like everybody's afraid of Stafford. Oh, you know, Stafford is probably gonna get his, guys. I mean, the thing is he'll probably throw for over 300 yards. He's probably gonna throw a couple touchdown passes too. Like, if the Lions win this game, I think it's gonna look like 38-28. You know, I think that's what it'll look like.
Yeah.
I mean, some points are gonna get scored.
The
blows are going to get
unless that defense. Yeah, and you know, we watched Stafford play for years. And everybody knows how Stafford plays. We know he's tough as nails, but you got to hit him, and you got to pressure him, and you got to shut down that run game, and you got to make him force it. And once he starts to force it, he throws picks. I've seen it for a decade. I know exactly how he likes to play. So you're in his face, but like you were saying though, it starts up front. It starts with the big guys up front. Can they slow down Aaron Donald to keep him out of the backfield? Can their offensive line keep Aiden Hutchinson and even Romeo Okwara's come off pretty well? And Josh Pascal's starting to come into his own too. You know, can you keep them guys out of the backfield?
That's some scary stuff. And you know what they're talking about in LA? They're saying the exact same thing, but the other way around. They're like, Aaron Donald needs to live in the backfield. This offense is for real, so they need to disrupt Jared Goff, because if they disrupt Jared Goff, they can make him one-dimensional. You know, they're going to have to stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the run game. You know, they got to make Jared Goff one-dimensional. They can't stop him.
Jahmyr Gibbs averages almost 6 yards a carry. Monty averages almost 5, and like three of those yards are before they're even touched.
Your defense
this offensive line just, the offensive line just pushes guys around. So
you have each one of these running backs run for about 100 yards in this game. You keep Matt Stafford and keep him on the sidelines. Let him sign some autographs. Let him.
Right. Everyone loves him in Detroit anyway. You know, give Kelly Stafford her suite that she wants.
Yeah. And I'm going to call this out again. I called this out yesterday, but I'm going to call it out again. Kelly Stafford coming in on these Detroit guys trying to say that you shouldn't wear a Stafford jersey. Kelly Stafford came in and said that that's the opposite of the way that she feels, huh? Right? And she just doesn't want injuries. But I want to address that it's the opposite of the way that we feel. So, Kelly, does that mean that you're going to show up wearing your Matt Stafford Lions jersey because you feel the opposite of the way that we do? Because we just want to support the Lions. And guess who doesn't play for the Lions anymore? Matt Stafford does not play for the Lions anymore. He's going to do some charity work. He's a great human being outside. I loved watching him play while he was here, but he's not my quarterback anymore.
Nope. He's one of the last of the gunslingers. I love his style of play at quarterback, but he is not a Lion, and I want him to have the worst game of his career. I want him to leave Detroit and go fuck. Sorry about that, but
he's he's got his Super Bowl. This is one of those classic cases where in America we have a hard time admitting this sometimes, but both teams kind of won this, right? You know, you guys got Matt Stafford, you got Super Bowl. I mean, that's a winner chicken dinner right there. And we got 5 players that are going to redefine our franchise forever. So we win too.
Think about 3 years ago when they traded Stafford and got Jared Goff. Who'd have thought 3 years later we were winning 12 games, taking the North and heading into the playoffs as the number 3 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thought that. Goff was sent to Detroit to die. That's what he was sent to Detroit for. And that's what everybody expected. You know, and I said it when we took him, and yeah, it may have been a little biased and a little drinking of the Kool-Aid, but Jared Goff has literally won everywhere he's gone. When he went to Cal, that school was not very good when he went there. They were winning 2-3 games a year. By the time he left, they were playing in bowl games. When he got drafted to the Rams, they weren't very good.
No.
You know, obviously he went number 1. You know, they weren't a very good team. And they brought in Sean McVay. I think his second year they brought in Sean McVay. They kind of plugged him in midway through his rookie year, and he didn't do very good. And he said the same thing to the media there that he did to Detroit. He said the gut punches will stop. And what did he do? He led them to a Super Bowl. And everyone could say, oh, he rode the coattails of the running game and, you know, rode the coattails of the defense and all this other stuff. You know, there's 11 guys on the field. Everybody plays a part. You know, and he's come to Detroit. And he's doing the same thing in Detroit.
He's a good leader.
And he doesn't get enough credit.
His teammates respect him, and that's important. You know, you commanded that offense, and yeah, he's not gonna run out and get out of the pocket. Oh, all of a sudden you're gonna see Jared Goff running for 25-yard runs. He ain't that. He never was.
No.
He's an accurate quarterback. He's a game manager, but he's an elite game manager. He distributes the ball as good as anybody in the NFL. And if you keep him clean, he may be the most dangerous quarterback in the NFL. If you keep him clean. But we have the guys up front to do that.
Yeah, you keep him upright, and he will pick your defense apart. He's proven that time and time again.
And is he being carried by a running game again? Well, maybe. He threw for 4,600 yards, and he had 2 1,000-yard all-purpose running backs.
Right. You know.
Insane.
Yeah, like he distributes the ball well. You know, I mean, he's got some weapons around him. The run game helps, but I don't care who you are. You show me a quarterback that doesn't need a solid run game. You got to have a decent run game. As much as the NFL has grown into a passing league, at its bones, it is still winning football games. Still comes down to your ability to run the football and your ability to stop the run. It still comes down to that. No matter how much they want to change it.
Jeffrey says that Goff was sent to Detroit because Holmes wanted him. Goff's success is not a surprise to Holmes. And that's true. That is 100% true. They believed in him as a franchise quarterback right from the get-go.
They sure did. They did. 100% believed in him. But when LA sent him here, and the rest of the football world was looking out, they all thought the same thing I did. He is sent there to die. They laughed at Dan Campbell.
They extended Goff. I remember this, talking about this too. When he very first got here, they extended Goff, and I remember having to defend that move because, for one, we had no money, and they almost had to do it. But they extended him to relieve cap space so they could sign the players on their team, and they took shit for it. What are you doing? Now look at that contract. Because they extended him out, now you added another piece to that contract, and here's this contract for $31 million, and now it looks like one of the best contracts in the NFL. Brad Holmes did that.
He did. Yeah, and Brad Holmes has proven to be, has he made his mistakes? Yes. Every general manager does. But he's done more good than he has bad.
I argue that over the last 3 years that he is hands down the best general manager in the NFL.
100% completely agree with you. From the coaching staff that him and Dan Campbell have built to the players that they brought in, he has done an excellent job. Excellent job.
Completely.
And the fact that he wore a shirt, the fact that he wore a shirt with Dan Campbell's face on it is even better.
Well, that's the thing, is like it's a collaborative effort. You have to have a lot of minds that have a bigger purpose, and the bigger purpose is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that
is true.
It takes like somebody that can throw aside their ego and understand the big vision together to do that. And they believe in it.
And in the NFL, that throwing your ego to the side is not an easy thing to do, because everybody's got an ego.
I mean,
you're employed by the NFL. You have an ego.
Well, look how Holmes handled Jamal Williams. There was no hate there. Hey, you broke our franchise record in touchdowns. Thank you. We're going to offer you $5.5 million. And he looked at it like an insult, and Brad's just like, look, man. When I think of Brad Holmes dealing with stuff, I always think of like if it was a movie, it would be Denzel Washington playing Brad Holmes. Be like, look, man.
Yeah.
Let me break it down to you like this. Jamal, like we love you. We got $5.5 million on the table. You got like 4:00. I'll give you till 4:00. You got till 4:00. You can sign that deal. We'll keep it good. And at 4:01, he didn't hear from Jamal, and then they signed David Montgomery for $6.
Yep.
It's business. We have $5.5 million that we're allocating for the running back position. And he's going to have the same conversation with Goff down the road, too. I love you, man.
Yeah.
I love you. But we have, $37 million that we're going to allocate for the quarterback position. The deal's on the table.
Yeah.
Go get what you're worth.
It's going to be interesting to see how he handles all these contracts coming up. You got St. Brown coming up. You got Sewell coming up. Hutchinson. You got Goff. Laporta in a few years. You got a lot of guys coming up that are going to need contracts. It's going to be very interesting to see how he navigates all of this.
But what he's
it will really show
is like he ain't worried about Laporta yet. Maybe he's worried about Laporta, but he's worried about like what is here right now, and what you hit right there, the Amon-Ra St. Brown and those first year contracts. You're going into the last year. Ifatu, Barnes, Aleem, Levi. I mean, these guys. I mean, believe it or not, you might be able to get deals on these guys because
there's a couple guys on the roster right now who took less money to either come to Detroit or stay in Detroit. Tracy Walker and C.J. Gardner-Johnson both took less money. And Tracy Walker at the time was the team's leading tackler, and he got some offers from other teams that were more money.
Yep.
And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the same thing.
But if you're Brad Holmes, ain't you thinking Ifatu? He's the guy that you brought he finally popped, he's the guy that, long term, I think that there's your safety. You got your Kirby.
He was the forgotten man. He was the forgotten man on that Detroit roster. He went from corner to safety. He battled injuries, and it took him a little bit to come along. But with the way he stepped in and the way he's been playing, you can't keep him off the field right now. And he has to be out there.
And Aaron Glenn, when he came out and was speaking on Ifatu, and this is what you call a perfect 3-year plan, right? Because he says that he loves his safeties to be able to cover. And he came into the league as a cornerback. He learned for the first 2 years, even though he got injured, he was learning from a cornerback's covering perspective. And then when they switched him, and he learned the nuances of safety, he still has those coverage skills, which is going to make him at his length. What is he, 6'4", 6'3", 6'4"?
I think he's like 6'3". Yeah, his size definitely is what, got him to move to corner, or move from corner to safety. 6'3" is a big corner. That's a big corner, which I don't understand why we don't see more 6'3" corners. Take it, you guys go up against guys like Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf that are 6'5". You got a 6-foot corner covering them.
Right.
I don't know, but
it's hard. Yeah.
These corners would start to grow.
Yeah, you can't teach 6'3".
No.
But Aaron Glenn, now these are the kinds of things that tell me, when I'm looking at his body of work from a blimp, that makes me know that he's a good developer and a good because he's taken these 3-year plans and developed these players into what we need for our defense. So Chauncey might be able to stay, but I think that we keep the guys that Brad Holmes drafted, and guys like Tracy Walker might, they might get squeezed out, because we can draft younger players. Guys like Charles Harris and Romeo, those are the kind of guys that are just going to kind of get squeezed out the bottom as, they're doing the development mental thing that they do,
Yeah, and they've shown they're pretty good at developing players. We're watching it in front of our own eyes. You're seeing these guys come along. Like Kirby Joseph, he made a jump from this is his second year. He's made a jump from year 1 to year 2.
Yep.
He's the ball hawk that they thought he was at Illinois. Oh, stop it. Sorry. Dog bit my damn finger.
But we'll see what
Oh my God, it's a 4-2-5 defense. All you gotta do is blitz more. All you gotta do is fire Aaron Glenn, and then you can start winning again. You're so stupid.
That sounds like a lot of Lions fans that I know right now.
That's anytime I make these characters, it's kind of like it's all of us and none of us, because we've all been him before. We've all been over analytical guy. We think we're smarter than the guys that are coaching, all of that.
Right.
But this one you'll like. This one you'll like right here. I like playing this one.
Hello, you play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win.
Oh my God.
Everyone was so mad. Everyone was so mad about Campbell going for 3 times in a row. I'm not mad about it at all, because that's who he is, and he did not go away from who he was at all.
Yeah, I love
that is who he is.
I agree with you. I'm all in on Dan the Gamble Campbell. I mean, that's the analytics say that's what you do, and it's so funny because now they're starting to put up the analytics for everything. But you have a better chance to win the game if you get those 4th downs. You got an extra down to pull that, especially when you got an offensive line that's been wearing on you, and all of a sudden you got to defend a 1-yard play that leads to 3 more plays. It's like
Right.
Belichick and Rodgers. Oh my gosh, what is she trying to say here? Oh my gosh. You think that Belichick may go to the Jets? Whoa. Is that I don't know if that's go back, help me out through that. Is she saying that? Belichick, I'm looking through these comments. I can't see it. Okay, the Jets. I have to go back now. Oh gosh, you guys started. I got to go back. This is a great conversation. Oh my God, that would be great. Honestly, I want to throw that out there. That even if that isn't what she said. I mean, could you imagine that Belichick going to the Jets?
That's one. I don't see him going there. One, because I don't think they get rid of Salah. But
with Aaron Rodgers being there,
it'd be interesting.
And then all he has to do is like manage that already elite defense. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, Uriel Jackson says Bill Belichick needs to retire. Outdated. Brady made him a good coach. That might be a little bit. I think it is a little bit of a combination, but I think that Brady did prove that he was the bigger contributor to that legacy.
Yeah, Julian Edelman came out and said, he goes, "We worked for Bill, we played for Tom." So it was a combination of both.
Main Event Mike's in the comments too. He's throwing in his one pride. Belichick, there you go. Belichick. I was looking for it because I knew that Sarah brought it up. So Belichick to the Jets, so he can face the Patriots twice a year would be fun. That would be NFL script magic.
Right? Oh man, and you know who, especially if Vrabel takes that Patriots job, because rumor has it he's interested and they're interested. But I also heard Gerard Mayo's name come up too. So
it all comes to how the breakup was, because if it was a nasty breakup, he would take that job in a heartbeat. But I think he's going to retire. I think that, but it's a fun thing to think about as we're going through here. I got to get out of here, man. I
got to get out of here too.
So, Jake Dilling, it's great to hear from you, man.
Yeah, I'll drop back in again sometime.
Right on. I'll make sure that we throw that link in there for you guys. I'll make sure that he tries to put it into your personal one this time.
All right.
So, all right, man. I'll talk to you. All right. This has been Football Talk with Russell Wayne. Every day we do this during the week. And this is a playoff week, man.
Playoffs?
Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? We are. We're talking about playoffs this week. And tomorrow, when we're going to do it in a Pick'em Friday, we're going to be picking these playoff games tomorrow. And then we're going to dive into them. One by one, we're going to dive into these games for tomorrow. And it's nerve-wracking, right? As a Lion fan, it's nerve-wracking. It drives me crazy. I hated this week having to talk about Matt Stafford. I'm in agreement with Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions. It's like I hate that Stafford is at the forefront of this conversation, and it bothers me. I want to talk about these offensive and defensive lines. How is Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow, and Jonah Jackson going to hold up against Aaron Donald and a young defense? We're all worried about Matt Stafford being able to throw deep. I am too. But the cure to that is Aiden Hutchinson keeps dominating. Because if he lives in the backfield, that makes it hard. Makes play action not work. Kyron Williams has been running on people, but the Lions don't let anybody run on him. So I'm nervous. But it feels different. It feels different even with a loss. I've already exceeded my expectations. They would have into that list. Gosh, that would make us feel so good here in Detroit. But a lot of people say you can't lose to Matt Stafford. This was the one that you can't do. I mean, how can you live in the offseason knowing that your whole thing came to fruition and then it was Matt Stafford that knocks you out with a lesser team? Because our team as a whole, the Lions team as a whole, is better than the Rams. Haven't been able to say that a lot about Lions teams in the past. You're hoping to win as an underdog. The Lions are a better team than the Rams. It's just, they just are. Sarah is right on. Girl, one of the smartest Viking fans. It ain't about Goff. It's never been about Goff. Can you protect Goff and let Goff be the best version of himself? That's what it is. The Monday headline, it won't be about Goff. I don't think it's going to be about Stafford either. I think it's going to be about Aiden Hutchinson. And I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to drop Matt Stafford on his head at least 3 times. He's just playing at a high level. You heard it here first. I don't know. You didn't hear it here first. Somebody probably already predicted that. But Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks. And live in the backfield. Is that just wishful thinking? James says, I like Matt as a person. He's a great guy, but I hope he gets sacked 11 times. Well, I don't know about 11 times. Lions Rumble says his buffs have been revoked. The no-fly zone. Yeah, secondary's got to play better. I guess that does involve Stafford. You talking about the Hutchinson sacks? No, I mean, that's how you're going to stop Stafford. You got to get to him. Football talk with Russell Wayne. Like I said, tomorrow, we're going to be talking about these playoff matchups. Thank you for joining me today. Faith, family, and football. Starting with Faith. That's my church right there. NTC. That's in Burton, Michigan. Join me on Sundays. Faith, family, and football. I play guitar. I get to play guitar in the praise and worship group. And Pastor Kevin always gives a good message. But if you want to help our ministry, there's a link in the description. We're doing outreach. We were able to help We want to be able to help, to serve. In our outreach, we appreciate people that donated to our outreach. We were able to give 100 turkeys or 400 turkeys away for Thanksgiving. And we were able to help 100 families provide Christmases for their kids. Ain't it all about us? So thank you for all that helped us on those endeavors. And there's a link in our description that will go towards the next thing that we're doing. And I don't know what that is yet. Faith, family, and football. Well, family and football is easy. You know, we just hang out with our family. We use football. We don't let football use us. Don't become a butthole when your team loses. Remember? So thank you for watching. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we see each other again tomorrow for Football Talk with Russell Wayne. God bless you. Thanks for watching.
It reminds me of a football show, Football Talk with Russell Wayne, 11 a.m. in the mornings. You should watch it because it could be good for you. It could be good for you. It could be good for your life.
What's up, y'all? This is Ifeatu Melifonwu, safety for the Detroit Lions. And I just want to take some time out to give a big shout out to Russell Wayne and Main Event Mike from the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. It's a fan page and a podcast. And I just want to say I appreciate the support of me and my team. And I encourage everyone to go check out their podcast and check out their fan page. Go Lions.